From mysterious UFOs to secret government programs, I'm Bob from World 5 List, and I'm going to show you 9 examples of military photos that were leaked and they didn't want you to see. Number 9. The Navy UFO. Now, a couple of years ago, photos that were taken in the 1970s were published by a magazine, and for almost 30 years, from the 70s up to the 90s, this USS submarine swam around the world in preparation for war with the Soviet Union, which thankfully never happened, of course. However, what did happen was during March of 1971, passengers aboard the USS Trepang SSN 674 submarine took pictures of something, well, very mysterious that they saw floating above the waters. And instead of bringing these photos to the attention of the public, they were buried and kept secret. That is, until they were finally leaked. In the photos, you can see an object floating above the ocean. There are also a couple of photos that seem to show that the object actually changes its shape while it's floating and then eventually disappears into the water. Now, there are a lot of theories about the object, and some believe that it's a UFO, while others state that it was probably some type of machinery that was under testing by the military. Other theories further claim that it's an alien spaceship that was looking for oil. And why oil? Well, nobody's really sure. I don't think spaceships run on fossil fuel, but whatever the case, what we do know is that the photos were not meant to be available for the public, as a description on one of them says, "Official photograph not to be released, CT." Another one contains a description that reads, "Unauthorized disclosure subject, Security Certificate SSN 674, criminal sanction." Whoops. Number 8. Russia's S-300 failure. Now, it's no secret to anyone that the military is constantly busy testing new items for all kinds of purposes. Most of them are really none of our business. All the weapons used by the military do go through a series of tests, which is exactly what happened with Russia's S-300 missile. The S-300 is a series of highly capable, long-range, surface-to-air missile complexes and has been used since the late 1970s and sold to many different countries ever since. It also has a reputation for being highly dependable. However, it's also been proven to not be 100% true. Then, in 2015, Russia would be recording a test of their missile launch when the system then decided to fail. Instead of shooting way up in the air like it's supposed to, it struggled to take off and then completely gave up, falling right back down to the ground. As the missile is in the air, you can see debris flying around, which may be a clue that it was not going to travel far. Then, as it starts to head to the ground, the camera person takes cover and you can hear an explosion. When the camera comes back from safety, you see a cloud of smoke from where it landed, and it's not really something that was ever intended for us to see. Number 7. Kim Jong-un's army. Now, Kim Jong-un and the North Korean army have very strict guidelines for photography. In fact, it's so strict that there's not supposed to be any photos taken from visitors or really anyone else. However, not everyone follows the guidelines, and because of this, a variety of photos that show the North Korean army have been leaked. Probably not on purpose, but you never know. These photos not only show women training in high heels, of all things, but it also shows soldiers laying on the side of the road sleeping. There are other photographs that were taken where soldiers can be seen trying to fix broken down military trucks, and it also shows about 16 soldiers piling into a vehicle that was only made for 8. Others show the military vehicles are extremely outdated compared to the ones in other countries, and they're being run by wood gas generators, which is something that a lot of countries haven't used since the end of World War II. Furthermore, the tourist who took the photos was able to smuggle them out and stated that absolutely no soldier looked to be combat ready. So I don't suppose that World War III will be happening anytime soon, at least not with Kim. I mean, what do you think? When will World War III happen, if it ever does? Let me know in the comments below. Number 6. The Syrian rebels. Now, about a year ago, photos were taken that showed what many on the Western Front had always speculated. They seemed to prove that the United States and British Special Forces were training Syrian opposition fighters. The US and the British are believed to be training the Syrian soldiers in order to strengthen their techniques. And when this speculation first came out in 2013, the United Kingdom government denied any kind of training that was being done. However, the leaked photos not only show the soldiers working together, as they seem to be discussing weaponry, but also shows them hanging out in general like friends. What would make these countries want to keep this training a secret? Oh, the Syrian rebels that are being trained by the US and the British are actually rebels from the new Syrian army, and others who are currently fighting against ISIS. Number 5. The Gulags of North Korea. For years, prison camps, known as gulags, were a rumor, and satellites and maps proved that they existed in North Korea, but nobody really knew what they were for or what went on behind the gates. That was until a former prison guard decided to leak photographs showing and exposing the horrors of the prison camp. Since then, other photos of the conditions of the prison have been leaked, and these prison camps are led by Kim Jong-un, who had denied for the longest time that they existed. In the newly leaked photos, you see electric barbed wire fencing, cramped housing areas, huge walls, and guard towers. These photos not only support what many call an instrumental place of control and fear, but these camps are also being compared to Nazi concentration camps. Over the past 50 years, hundreds of thousands of people have died in the gulags. However, the population does continue to grow. Most of the people die from the horrible conditions and the torture being used, with one of the worst being pigeon torture. That's where prisoners have their hands tied behind their back and can't sit down or properly stand. This form of torture is known to go on for days, eventually contorting the body permanently. Prisoners are also starved to death and perform hard labor in harsh conditions. Breaking news: military photos have been leaked. But before I show you more, be sure that you're subscribed to my channel so that you get more videos like this one in the future. Also, leave a like and a comment below. Number 4. Abu Ghraib. Now, Abu Ghraib is a prison that's located in Baghdad, and it made headlines in 2004 when military photos were leaked of United States military personnel abusing its prisoners. During this time, the reign of Saddam Hussein, more than 50,000 women and children were crammed into the prison camp. Ever since then, it's been closed, and in theory, the photographs showed several Iraqi prisoners. They also showed GIs taunting them and making the prisoners stand in humiliating poses. Not too long after the photos were leaked, the Pentagon did admit that there had been at least 35 investigations at the prison, and also said that about 25 people had died due to the actions of some of the United States soldiers. Of course, action would be taken against many of the soldiers, with some being held in prison in Baghdad as well, going on to military court, or even being transferred back to the US. Number 3. Russian Cadet School. Now, historically, children were trained to fight in the military at a young age. According to a leaked photograph from Russia, this is still the case. Just last year, leaked photos would show children, many of which who were preteen and in their early teens, holding assault rifles and being trained on how to shoot. These photos would be taken at a cadet school in Stavropol, Russia, where regular classes like math and science go hand in hand with the military training. Now, this school's run more like a boarding school or even comparable to military training camps, instead of what you may think is a regular middle school. The students are dressed in military outfits, sleep in bunk beds, and follow strict rules and schedules. They also get intense military-type training, from shooting rifles to cleaning them to learning how to defend themselves. Statistics from the school state that up to 600 boys and girls train every summer, and as many as 1,500 of them throughout the whole year. Number 2. Kill Team Celebrations. Between the years of 2010 and 2011, Rolling Stone magazine would publish a number of photos that were leaked from the United States Army posing with dead civilians in Afghanistan after they were killed. It was revealed that the ones killed in the photos were actually innocent civilians, and to make matters worse, the soldiers seemed to be happy about all of it. In the end, Rolling Stone was able to obtain about 150 photographs, all of which seemed to be taken while the soldiers were following protocol. Now, eventually, one of the main men in the photos was given a name and had a reputation for being a troublemaker. This would force the United States Army to have to apologize for the photographs, and they also promised that those who were involved in the horrendous photos would be properly prosecuted. Number 1. Women of the Israeli Defense Force. A few years ago, several women soldiers from the Israeli Defense Force would leak a lot of photographs of themselves on the internet. And these photographs were not random, however, they had created an Instagram account where they could show off their assets. While these women were not usually in their uniform while posing, they were on active duty. And the biggest problem that people, especially the Israeli government, had with these pictures was that they were very suggestive. The women wore very little clothing or were dressed in bikinis and were often seen holding their weapons. After several of the pictures were leaked, the military stated that they were taking care of the situation and that the women had been disciplined, as the Israeli government has done everything they can do to stop the images from appearing online. Even so, it didn't stop many of them because they continued to pose for pictures and post them online. Some people believe that one reason the Israeli government has a problem with the girls is because everyone over the age of 18 needs to spend time in the military, and for females, it's a minimum of 2 years. There are also people who do not have a problem with the pictures, wow, stating that they're young women who are forced to do something and they're just having fun. What do you think about them, though? Should they be kept a secret? Do we have a right to know what's going on in the military? Let me know your opinion in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you soon.